Hi guys, I'm Saumya and I'm back again with another video. I hope you're all well and safe. So I make a lot of bookish content on this channel. If you are a book lover and a reader or would like to become one, then do hit that subscribe button and don't forget to click on the bell icon. So in today's video, I am going to talk about how I liked reading First Person Singular by Haruki Murakami. So let's get into the video. First Person Singular is a collection of 8 short stories, and these stories deal with different themes. One of the most recurring themes in this book is that of music, which is something that you can expect in a Murakami book. Other themes are those about recounting memories from the past, of being nostalgic, of the narrator having certain very fascinating encounters. And as far as the narration of these 8 short stories is concerned, they all have been narrated in first person, but it is only in the last few stories that I felt that the narrator was Murakami himself. Apart from that, in the first few stories, the narrator seemed like a random person to me. So on the whole, the vibe of this book to me was very semi-autobiographical. The overall vibe of this book was quite fictional, although all these fiction stories were presented rather realistically, so that was something that I really liked. So this book has 250 pages and I was able to finish this book in 2 sittings, which I feel is a pretty smooth reading experience because I did not have to force myself to read this book even once. I found the reading experience to be quite effortless, which is good. Although I must admit that this is by no means my favorite short story book, because on the whole, reading this book was an okay experience for me, and that is because there were some stories that I definitely liked, but then there were others that I didn't really care for much. They didn't have much of an impact on me, which is why this book was a mixed bag for me. So now I want to talk about a few stories from this book. So there is a story called Confessions of a Shinagawa Monkey in this book, and when I started reading that story, I was immediately reminded of another short story collection by Murakami, which is called Blind Willow Sleeping Woman. Now in that short story collection, there is a story called The Shinagawa Monkey, and this book has a story called Confessions of a Shinagawa Monkey. These are both different stories, but they are both connected obviously. So when I read the story in this book, I was immediately able to understand the perspective of the Shinagawa Monkey, which was very interesting. So if you haven't read Blind Willow Sleeping Woman, it won't really matter to you because the story in this book is completely independent of that other story. But if you have read Blind Willow Sleeping Woman, then forming that connection between both the stories is going to be rather interesting and satisfying. Another story that I want to mention specifically is called Carnival in this book. So this story was quite engaging, honestly, but the way Murakami went about narrating the story was a little bit disconcerting, because in this story he begins by talking about a woman that he found really ugly, and all through the story he just goes about mentioning how ugly she was. So that was rather weird, because the story on the whole had a lot of elements. It had a lot going on, and had he not really focused so much on how unattractive he found her, the story would still have been engaging. So the fact that he keeps on going about how ugly she looks was a little bit weird to me as a reader. So that was something I wasn't very crazy about. This book has a very relaxed and a very nostalgic vibe, which was something that I definitely enjoyed in this book. And as I said before, there were certain things that I wasn't particularly crazy about, and then some stories just did not reach me. So overall for me, reading this book was a mixed bag, and that is totally fine. I have had this experience with other Murakami books in the past as well, but that doesn't stop me from reading titles by him, because I am always drawn to books written by Murakami, so I was going to read it anyway. Now Murakami is known for writing stories and novels that have magical realism and stories that are surreal. So those elements are present in this book as well, but I feel personally that they were present in a manner that was very mild and toned down. So if you are somebody who hasn't yet read a book by Murakami and you want to begin reading books by him, then you can think of starting with this book, because the thing is that when you read a Murakami book for the first time, you can get overwhelmed by how unusual his stories are. So the unusual aspect is present in this book as well, but it is something that you can digest as a first time Murakami reader. At least that's what I feel. So that was my review of First Person Singular by Haruki Murakami, and if you want to check this book out, then I will leave the link for that in the description box. So that was it for today's video. I hope you found my review useful. If you want to connect with me on my social media, then the links are in the description box. I will see you in my next video. Till then, bye bye, take care and stay safe.